Hey y'all, it's Yanni and this is my first ever video! Oh my god. Okay, that was really awkward. Hey y'all, I'm Yanni. Whatever. So, this wasn't supposed to be my first video. Let me just start off with that. I'm so sorry. It was supposed to be an everyday makeup tutorial, but like an idiot, I deleted all the footage and now I don't have it no more. I don't have that footage, and I deleted the first clip that I had for this video that I'm uploading right now, which is this paranormal story time, and I'm sorry. I just want to let you know that I was not intending to be a story time YouTuber. This was supposed to start off as a beauty channel, and then I had a paranormal story time prepared. But well, now I just have to get into the story. It's my first video and it's already a flop. Anyway, okay, so let's start off the story. Hi. This actually took place in a townhouse that I lived in. We moved in when I was in about 4th grade, and then I had to switch schools from one elementary school to the other, which was just a pain in the neck. When my parents were like, they found out that we moved and we're not in the area, and I was like, oh shit. We moved into that house and the first few years were fine and dandy. But then I kind of got into high school, and all of a sudden, all around me, like, it wasn't high school. High school was fine. I had friends. I love my friends. Whatever. I was in that house crying every single day, multiple times a day, crying myself to sleep. And just the negative energy around me and my family was so, like, overbearing, and like me and my sister would always fight in that house. I know siblings fight, but like it was so bad. We would fight all the time, and me and my parents would fight all the time, and I just don't get it, because as soon as we moved, everything changed. So my parents, they left me home alone during that time a lot. Now they work from home, my mom does, so like I'm never home alone, which I don't mind if I'm home alone or not. In that house I minded all the time. They left me home alone in that house all of the time, and you know, I was fine with it, but like so many things would happen. No matter if it was daytime or nighttime, sometimes they wouldn't come home until 3 in the morning because they were like at my grandma's house or something, like chilling with her, you know, partying it up with my grandma. I would be home alone and I would hear the stairs creaking, or our doors beeped, or our windows beeped when you open them. Sometimes my sister would open her window because she likes fresh air. And when my parents came home, the door would beep. But the thing is, I would hear the door beeping, like it would go beep, beep, beep when it, you know, it opened. And I would hear the door beeping, and my dog would be going nuts. She would be barking constantly. And then I go downstairs to check if my parents are home, and there's no one there. I would go, I would text them and I would be like, are you guys home? Did you guys come home? And they're like, no, we're still at grandma's. And I would be like, well, great. It got to the point where we were in a townhouse, and it would be like 2 houses connected, and then there would be a space, and then 2 houses connected. And we were connected to another house, and my room was on the side of the house that there was not a house like next to my wall, like my wall was upstairs. And oftentimes I would hear like bumping music, like there was party music. It's not like there were young people living in my neighborhood. My next door neighbors on my left and on my right were both old people, very old people, so they weren't having any parties. But I would hear like bumping party music behind my wall where there was no other house anyway. And all of my family members would be asleep, or there would just be no one home, or it would be like 3 in the morning and I heard that music, and I would just be like, I would hear that music and it would be like bumping, and I'm like, damn, can I come join the party? But like there was no party, that's the point. And a lot of the times I would be home alone, it would be late, and my parents would like either be out of town or they were just like not home, they were out partying. They would never partying. Maybe they went to like a concert once in a while and they wouldn't come home until like the next day if it was like in another city. But I would still stay with my sister because I was still young. I still am young, but like my sister was an actual adult and she could stay with me. Stay with my sister, and her boyfriend didn't stay at our house, but like he would come over a lot, and we love her boyfriend. Like, Nick, if you see this, what? So I would hear like creaks on the stairs, like if somebody's walking up the stairs, multiple people, like hard pounding people walking up the stairs, and then I would hear a man's voice and I would hear a woman's voice, and they were just talking. And it really, this was one time, it really sounded like my sister and her boyfriend, but I was still too scared to go and check outside of my room to see if they were there. So I texted both of them and I was like, "Are you home?" like in all caps, and like I called them, they didn't answer, but it was because they were at work and they didn't come home. No one was home, but I was hearing all these things and I was just like, Jesus. In my room, I just felt the most unsafe, but that's where I spent most of my time. So I wouldn't be able to sleep until like 3 a.m. and then I would not want to sleep at 3 a.m. so then I would wait until 4 a.m. to sleep, and I would just never get sleep in that house. And like I always felt like I was being watched from like a corner of my room, and it was just so creepy. I couldn't have my back turned. Since it was a townhouse, we also had a loft area, which if you don't know what a loft is, it's like you have the downstairs and then you have the upstairs, but then there's like an open area in the upstairs where you can look over a wall and you see the downstairs, and that's what we had overlooking our living room. And a lot of the time, me and my sister are big fans of The Walking Dead, so if I came home from school and she was home, we would sit down and we would watch an episode from the previous Sunday, because obviously I couldn't stay up late to watch The Walking Dead or whatever, so we would just catch up on it together. But there was one time that me and my sister both heard something so scary from upstairs, like someone walking and like closing a door or something. Oh my god, I can't, like I'm getting chills a little. But we heard it, and she literally grabbed the remote and she paused it, and we were sitting like this, like for like 5 minutes trying to see if we heard something, and we just like played the TV again because it was just too creepy and we didn't want to like figure out what it was, like because we didn't want to die that day, you know, like we want to live like our life. It always felt like someone was looking over the loft sometimes. Like I always felt like I saw a head, and then I would look up and there was just like no head, you know, so that's fun. There was one time, I was young, I was maybe like in middle school probably, that I got so scared and I thought there was someone in my house that I called my really old neighbor, and I was like, "Can you please come check upstairs and make sure my house is safe because I don't feel safe?" And that like my parents got really mad because they were like, "We could have gotten arrested," and I was like, "B, I'm not trying to die." So I called my neighbor and he came and he checked out my house, and I was like crying, you know. There was also, this is the creepiest part of the story probably to me in my opinion. Our pantry was right in front of a sliding glass door that led out to our porch, and so it was really dark outside at night, you know, and I would go downstairs not feeling safe and I would go to the pantry, and for some reason every single time I would go, I would have to look out the sliding glass door and stare. I would always stare out that sliding glass door because I always felt like there was someone watching me back, or like something out there. That sliding glass door was so creepy. It came to the point where my parents got a new house, and it's the house that we're living in currently. And we were already moved out of the house, like we packed everything, we moved it to this house, and we still had a few things there, and my sister was still living there. So, but we lived in the new house and she lived in the townhouse because she was moving out anyway, but she stayed there at the time. And she would often have like people sleep over, like either her friends, because you know, normal stuff, like you have your friends sleep over, or there was one time that her boyfriend's brother and his girlfriend came to Orlando, and she offered them the place to stay, and she stayed there too, you know, like being friendly. A weekend came that she invited me to go with her and her boyfriend to West Palm, where his family lives, and West Palm is in Florida. I don't know if you guys know this. I feel like I have to explain myself like every 5 minutes. But we went to West Palm for the weekend, and you know, I stayed with them at his mom's house, and his brother, my sister's boyfriend's brother, and his girlfriend lived there too. So there was one late night that we were all staying up, and my sister's boyfriend and his little brother were focused on a video game that they were playing. Sister's boyfriend's older brother's girlfriend was talking to my sister on the couch, and they were talking for like an hour, and like during that time I was watching my sister's boyfriend's little brother play a video game, but then I started to overhear their conversation, and my sister was like agreeing with this girl on something about our townhouse, and she was like, yeah, I felt that too, yeah. And at this point I started to get really confused, because whenever I mentioned things that happened to me in that house, my sister always told me to brush it off. Like it always seemed like she never believed me, and she never told me she experienced these things either. But we were talking. I eventually moved to the couch next to my sister because I wanted to join the conversation, Avi. But this girl was, since she stayed in the townhouse with my sister, she was saying all these things that she was experiencing. And I think she's the kind of girl who connects spiritually to those kinds of things. I don't know what it's called, but like she connects to that, and she like talks. But she was like, do you ever feel like there's a presence here, and she literally said everything that I've said in this video. She said she experienced, and my sister would add on to that and say what she experienced, and then I would be like, why did you never tell me? I experienced everything. And then I would add on my stories to that, and we were all talking about how we all experienced these things, and my sister was just like, I didn't want to freak you out, I want you to live in peace in that house. The girlfriend was saying she felt a presence in the corner of my parents' room, and that was where it was most creepiest, and I agree. All of a sudden my sister had like a realization, or a revelation, if you will. She was like, wait a second, I remember something. She said, a long time ago, my dad and his sister, so my aunt, got into a really big fight, and they didn't talk for like years, and it was crazy. I was too young to remember, because now she's like my favorite. But they got into a really big fight, and I guess during that time my aunt was practicing brujeria, if you will. Like, I don't know. There was one day, my sister was telling this story, there was one day I wasn't there, but my sister and my mom were there, and they saw my aunt walking around with dirt in her hands like this, chanting something when she was walking around the neighborhood. And they were like, what the heck? She dropped the dirt on the porch with the sliding glass door, there. She dropped the dirt there, and that's where it like felt strongest and creepiest, is there where I always felt, I'm getting chills, where I always felt the presence, and where I got most scared was through the sliding glass door. And the craziest part is the porch was right outside of my parents' bedroom, and the side she dropped it on was my dad's side of the room, and that was where my sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend felt a creepy presence like in the corner of my parents' bedroom. I feel like my voice is turning to like and like the craziest part of that is that my parents' bedroom was right under my bedroom, so they could always hear me like walking and stuff. Like, it's crazy, and I always felt uncomfortable in my bedroom. So like the dirt that she put was right on the porch that was right next to my parents' bedroom. Their bedroom was right under my bedroom, so that's why I always felt it. And basically that's, as soon as we moved to this house that we are in now, I have never been happier. I never felt more positive. Like, I love it here. Like, my life is more positive now. When we were in that house, it was so negative, and I think it's just the change in environment. It's great, and I love it, and I just, I'm glad we're not in that house anymore, but my grandma's moving into the house. So that was my paranormal story time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you want to stick around, and I'll see you next time. Let's not.